My favorite animals are two, actually. In the Galapagos, it's difficult to pick one. All of them are special. Being endemic makes them very, very special. But the marine iguana, which is the only marine iguana in the world, not only living in the sea, swimming, but also feeding under the water. And the flightless cormorant. There's over 30 species of cormorants in the world, and this is the only one that doesn't fly. It came here flying, and is now flightless. It's maroon in the islands. They're special in the scientific sense, but also they're very charismatic when you get to see them. The numbers, their swimming potential, their diving is what makes them very, very unique. Yeah. I think that my favorite one has been the pelican, brown pelican. That's a species in the Galapagos that's different from the one in mainland. There's a subspecies of the brown pelican in mainland. And this was in Isabella, in Elizabeth Bay. It's diving to catch sardines, and penguins were feeding. It was a feeding fence, and everyone was trying to catch sardines. You had mackerel, you had pelicans, you had naughties on the surface trying to collect, you had boobies diving on the side. It was amazing. And in one dive, the pelican grabs a bunch of sardines, and it gets a penguin. It catches a penguin in his beak as well. And penguins know that pelicans are great to be around, because when the pelicans attack the water, the shock gets many of the little fish that sardines stunned, and then the penguins are able to collect those stunned sardines with less effort of actually chasing. So the underwater predator, the penguin and the mackerel, bring the fish to the surface, the pelicans dive, and it's really an amazing thing to happen. But to see in the water, I was snorkeling with a group, to see the pelican dive, engulf water, little sardines, and penguin, and then to see the penguin inside the pelican, not getting desperate at all, but catching all the fish the pelican had caught, to finally get every single fish and finally peck hard enough on the pelican's lower jaw and the maxilla, and peck it hard enough so it can let it free, and then the penguin got out. So I think this is an episode that I told the BBC many years ago, and they haven't been able to capture it yet. But it's something that happens. I didn't have a camera at that moment. It was an spontaneous jump because we were watching and I wanted to see it underneath. And it's one of the most special things you can see, a pelican catching a penguin. First of all, because you have only one tropical penguin in the world that lives in the equator. This is the Galapagos penguin. And secondly, because to overlap with a pelican is something that doesn't happen in any other place, and to be outside of mangrove, which is also very special. There's very few places where you actually have cormorants diving where you can see them doing their diving technique and finding their food. And in the islands, it's just an amazing place. And you see them looking in crevasses and holding their breath and swimming with their feet and using their wings tucked in and using their tail to maneuver. It's really special. I think this is something that Elizabeth learned from being on the Samba, that in the beginning, Cheesemans was very concerned. There's so much snorkeling. Why is there so much snorkeling? This is not supposed to be a snorkeling trip. But once you're there, you see that the things you see under the water, you're going to see nowhere else on the planet. To share the waters with penguins and not freeze your butt is very different than trying to do that in Antarctica. To have clear enough water to see this happening as well. Because when you go farther north and farther south, the productivity usually gets to be filthy rich, and the water visibility is really poor. The clarity is not something you can jump in eagerly in cold water and not see anything. Here in the islands, you can see. Sometimes it's murky, but doesn't happen anywhere else in the tropics. So you can get from the apex predator, which is an orca. We have resident orcas that we run into. We have been lucky to see them and jump in the water with them as well. We have hammerheads. We have, again, turtles and penguins. And this array of life, it's like Darwin said it very well, it's like a microcosmos of the world, because it's right on the equator. We're going to cross the equator twice on the trip, navigating across. But it has ingredients or species that don't really occur in the tropics elsewhere because of the ocean current that we have here, the upwelling of cold water, the Humboldt current coming from the south all the way from Antarctica. All of those ingredients make this island very, very special. And yes, there's barren lava for most of it, but the ocean is so rich that makes the shorelines very productive, and it's what we're going to be experiencing most of the trip. It's been right along the shoreline, not very far inland, but definitely seeing the best of the islands when we go to every location.